What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland. This fight's going to take place in like 2 to 3 weeks from now at UFC 297 in Canada. I'm very excited from this fight, and I've been inspired to make this video because I've seen a lot of, varying takes on Twitter. Now I want to give my own input and just kind of talk about the press conference, how that will play into the fight a little bit, just overall break down this fight because it is a lot of fun. Let's start out with breaking down both of their styles. Dricus Du Plessis, he's dangerous everywhere. He's got pretty solid submissions. He's got very, very powerful hands. So when it is on the ground, this guy is very dangerous with his submissions. His hands, he can finish you there. And when it is on the feet, he can clip you with a big shot and put you away. He's coming off a win against Robert Whitaker, which shocked the world. I think if you just watch Dricus Du Plessis strike, you can tell this guy has a lot of technical flaws, and he is very hittable. And it kind of just looked very ugly. Now you can say the same thing about Sean Strickland, but he showed that he was a little bit more technical, a lot more defensively sound than a lot of us thought, and really put on a very, very impressive performance against Israel Adesanya in his last performance at UFC 294. No, not 294, 293, excuse me. He looked so impressive, and he took that on short notice. Now we have a full camp against Dricus Du Plessis, and we'll see how this one goes. I am on the side of Sean Strickland, and I will explain why, but I will say this much. This is a very, very hard prediction to make. I'm just going with the Sean Strickland side because I have seen him prove time and time again that he's at the top level. I understand Dricus Du Plessis went out there and beat Robert Whitaker, and I'll get to why I wasn't. No, I was really impressed by that performance, but why I'm not completely sold on him for beating the top opponents yet. I think Sean Strickland has proven, and I've been saying for the longest time, Sean Strickland is the most underrated fighter in this division. Did I think he'd ever become champion? Hell no. I didn't even call him the dark horse of the division because I really didn't see him having a chance against, Israel Adesanya, the Robert Whitakers, the top people of the bantamweight. I said bantamweight, my bad, guys. The middleweight division, and he was just that much of a dark horse, that underrated, that he went out there and just cleaned up Israel Adesanya for 5 rounds. Just clearly outpointed him, beat him with defense and fundamentals. He's got a very solid jab. He's got a very solid straight right, some nice teeps to the body, and not much else, but that's all he needs to win. I heard Chris Curtis talk about it on maybe their podcast or just a clip on his YouTube channel, and Chris Curtis said, Sean Strickland has a style that upsets a lot of people when they first fight him because he goes out there, pops you with a jab, keeps popping with a jab, nonstop, pressure, volume. And I think that's what's going to be the problem for Dricus Du Plessis because we have seen guys like Derek Brunson, Robert Whitaker a little bit. I understand Robert Whitaker got knocked out. I'll talk about that performance in just 1 second, but we've seen Robert Whitaker, Brad Tavares, other fights aren't really coming to mind right now. Darren Till, that's another fight. They've had success pressuring Dricus Du Plessis. And Sean Strickland's whole game plan on the feet is to pressure you and just pressure you with volume. And Dricus Du Plessis has holes in his cardio. Now can Dricus Du Plessis catch Sean Strickland with the big shot and put him away? Absolutely. We have seen Sean Strickland get knocked out by Zaleski dos Santos, clipped big by Kamaru Usman, and also finished by Alex Pereira. Now, I think Sean Strickland's chin is a little bit underrated. I understand he even calls his chin a sissy chin. That's because he's been knocked out a couple of times and Pereira flatlined the hell out of him. But even then, Pereira landed a clean left hook, and he didn't get flatlined, which I know that's kind of just nitpicking. But for example, the reason why I kind of do think this is Cannonier landed some very solid shots on him, and he was able to take them. And my point is, or something I do want to bring up, is that I think Dricus Du Plessis' power might be a little bit overrated. And now I'm going to transition into the Robert Whitaker performance, what I think about that. I know this is kind of a bold statement because Dricus Du Plessis has been knocking out, finishing, landing massive blows on whoever it might be. I'm not saying Dricus Du Plessis can't flatline Sean Strickland. It's so damn possible. I just look at him and I think, okay, he's landing big shots on Brad Tavares, landed massive shots on Derek Brunson and was not able to put them away, and even big shots on Darren Till, and he's not putting them away. He doesn't have the Pereira power, which might be what you need to beat Sean Strickland. When we saw Sean Strickland get knocked out by Zaleski dos Santos, if you know, that was a wheel kick straight to the dome. And even then, he wasn't fully out. Like, he's got pretty solid chin recovery. He's a tough dude, and a big reason why I think he'll find success with his style is because he has shown massive improvements defensively, especially in the Adesanya fight. He's got a very, very solid coach, and most importantly of all, he's one of the few fighters that will match Dricus Du Plessis' frame. Now, Dricus Du Plessis is a stronger, thicker, more physically imposing guy, and that's why I think he had a lot of success against Robert Whitaker. But Sean Strickland, may not be the most powerful, may not have the greatest chin, but he's super physically imposing. And I know this is not the perfect way to use physically imposing. Ideally, you think of someone like Benoit Saint Denis, a guy with a great chin, insane power, and just super strong, can muscle you into submissions, whatever it might be. That's not Sean Strickland. It absolutely is not. He doesn't have great power in his hands, which is why I worry for him, combined with the fact that he's been knocked out before. But Sean Strickland's volume is kind of physically imposing, if that makes sense. Like nonstop, you're getting touched by a strike, touched by this, touched by that, blank, 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 making it really, really hard for people to deal with. I really like the way that Chris Curtis described it. I'd have to find the clip. I'm probably not going to put it up here. But yeah, Chris Curtis really, really, really just broke it down very well. There's so many fighters that go in there against Sean Strickland. They just get, caught away with how his style is going. They're just getting jabbed in the face. It's so unorthodox to a certain extent. And I know there's fundamentals to Sean Strickland's game. He's just got a couple of punches and a couple of kicks that work for him. But the way he throws it, the consistency, and he's just constantly pressuring you with these strikes nonstop, having his defense, his nice little Philly shell, whatever it might be, and I think that'll be enough to survive the early rounds from Dricus Du Plessis, and then from there, putting on a pace, and I think you'll find the KOs late in like rounds 4 and round 5. Now, we're talking about physically imposing. Dricus Du Plessis is that guy. He's going to be the guy that can go chin on chin and power for power and win every single time against basically anyone in the entire division. No, he's not technical. He's not. I know he has kickboxing wins, but Dricus Du Plessis, man, he just throws strikes, and I just cringe. Sometimes he's just so open to getting hit, but I will say this much. When he hits, you probably will go down if he lands clean. Now, is he going to flatline you? I don't know, like I mentioned. And I think he could absolutely knock out Sean Strickland. Let me make that very clear, because that is a bold statement saying, I already said this, I'm sorry, guys. But I already said, that, I don't think he has the Pereira power, and I don't think anyone thinks that, but that might be what you need to get Sean Strickland out of there. And we'll say this much too. Once fighters become champions, they seem to find a new confidence and become a much better fighter. That might be the case with Sean Strickland, because he said time and time again, I can't believe I'm champion. I really just can't understand this moment at all. And maybe that's something that very positively impacts a guy like Sean Strickland. He'll start really believing in his skill set, really believing in his team. I love his coach too. I love Eric Nixick. He called out a lot of reads, as Israel Adesanya said, against his fight, or for Sean Strickland against Israel Adesanya. Jeez, I cannot talk right now. My bad. I'm getting through it though. Dricus Du Plessis, where was it going? Super physically imposing. He's got some nice hooks, and he's a little bit slow to me. He is. He's not super quick. He's definitely explosive, and he has that very weird combination where once he's pressured on the back foot, he kind of charges at you, throws a couple of hooks like a madman, which, could find success against Sean Strickland. But overall, I think Sean Strickland is defensively sound enough to see it coming, slip on the outside of one of them and kind of circle and kind of nullify that from Dricus Du Plessis. But the thing about Sean Strickland is he doesn't really move forward and backward all that quickly. He's not really laterally quick. Sean Strickland is not a quick guy. Neither is Dricus Du Plessis. This definitely will be a very, very sloppy title fight. When it comes to the skill point, there's going to be massive holes in both of their games. But, hey, they both have very effective game plans. And the thing about Dricus is he's so physically imposing, I could see him fluking his way to victory. When you look at these two fighters, two guys that have been, upsetting people time and time again, and just overall proving that they're massively underrated and underestimated, it makes sense to go with the underdog and Dricus Du Plessis. I'm just saying, there's certain tools from Sean Strickland that has proved time and time again that he's at the top. Against Jared Cannonier, I know some people thought that he won the fight. Some people thought that he lost the fight. Regardless of what side you're on, he has a style that works. He's a technical fighter, and Jared Cannonier struggled with him a little bit, 100%. And I think Jared Cannonier is a more technical striker than Dricus Du Plessis. That's not hard to say at all. When it comes to power-wise, I think they're similar. Sean Strickland survived those, ate some clean shots, and then he turned around, fought Abus Magomedov, struggled a little bit in the first round as well, ate some big shots, definitely did, and then, recovered. And then also, Abus Magomedov did take the back from Sean Strickland. So if Dricus Du Plessis wants to get the grappling going, that's another thing to consider. And I'll talk about that in a second as well. But Sean Strickland has taken some big shots before. And Dricus Du Plessis, if the big shots don't put away Sean Strickland, will lose rounds 3, 4, and 5. I'm very, very confident in that. I know he got his nose fixed, and now he might have 10-round cardio, guys. I don't believe that. I think he definitely does have a lack of freaking cardio for sure. You look at how big the guy is and how much power he puts behind every single shot. He definitely does not have 5-round cardio. Now, if I'm wrong, that would be insane, and he would be so much fun to watch. And I'm not a Dricus Du Plessis hater by any means, I'm a little bit questionable of his skill set, as a lot of people are. He's just so hard to predict. I mean, I've been predicting him to win against almost everybody. I've picked almost every single one of his fights right, except for the Robert Whittaker fight. And, I have barely even talked about that fight. My bad, guys. He KO'd Robert Whittaker kind of with the jab hook scenario, really hurt Robert Whittaker, and then teed off on him, landed a couple body shots, which is a pretty interesting, clean finishing sequence. But even then, you can see he's overextending on hooks, and that's kind of what I worry about Dricus Du Plessis. He's going to overextend on a hook, couple jabs his way, couple straight rights, and he's going to get hit because he's not good off the back foot. He has horrible counters. Horrible counters. The best thing he does off the back foot is that weird charging, throwing hooks like a maniac, and finding the knockout. And he is so much fun to watch, and that is why, because he does dumb, stupid shit like that, and he wins. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. I think, I don't know. I just can't see it happening. I think Sean Strickland has made such big improvements in his defensive game that you can just rewatch film of Dricus Du Plessis and make a game plan around that. He clearly had a very solid game plan against, Israel Adesanya, and his coach is not going to let Sean Strickland go in there, stand and bang like a man, go chin on chin and power for power with Dricus Du Plessis. Now, could Sean Strickland do it? Yes, it's Sean Strickland. We all know it's definitely possible, but I think this means so much to him that he's going to do everything in his power to win this fight. I think he's very, very locked in. I'll talk about the press conference too. I think it could potentially help Sean Strickland or massively hurt him. I think there's two ways that this can go. Is number one, it doesn't impact Sean Strickland at all within the cage and Sean Strickland sticks to his game plan. Or number two, he goes out there, does everything he can to find the finish early. I'll say three ways. Everything he can to find the finish early, stands and bangs with the man, goes chin on chin and power for power with Dricus Du Plessis. And number three, he just goes out there and is a little bit more aggressive than normal, but not chasing the finish overly. I think it's probably going to be one of the first, It's probably going to be one or three where he goes out there, nothing really changes him, or he's going to be a little bit more aggressive but not force it too much. He is a very smart coach that he has a very, very solid relationship with, and now that he is the champion, I think he understands the stakes of this fight. He's going to do everything he can to beat Dricus Du Plessis. He's going to have the right people in his ear saying, Sean Strickland, look, you're the damn champion. Logically, don't go out there and stand and bang with this guy. You will knock his ass out if it just goes later. It's the way you work. It's the way he operates. Focus on the game plan early. There's no way Sean Strickland just goes out there and doesn't have a game plan. You have to know his team. You have to know his personnel. You have to know his own brain. He's going to go out there to do everything he can to beat the hell out of Dricus Du Plessis. The problem is, as he would say, his dick might get a little bit too hard and he might just have all logic flow out the door. Let's talk about the grappling. Sean Strickland, I think, is a BJJ black belt. A lot of his training partners, a lot of his training partners have said he is very underrated wrestling, underrated grappling overall. I have seen training clips where he has gotten taken down, but I think part of it was drilling, and part of it was just him surviving those really bad positions on the ground. I think he has some underrated grappling. Now, I don't know where to rate it. It's really hard. We have very little film on it outside of the Kamaru Usman performance and a couple other performances back in the day, but I think I don't know. I just don't think Dricus Du Plessis is that great of a grappler. He's gotten taken down by Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson. We saw that weird trip against Brad Tavares. That was a joke. Can he absolutely knock out Sean Strickland on the ground? I just think if it hits the ground, Sean Strickland has shown the ability to get back up to the feet and probably has pretty solid submission defense as well. I don't think Sean Strickland's going to grapple. I don't see it happening. But the grappling could be something that works out for Dricus Du Plessis, especially if he's gassed. He can find a takedown, lay on top. But yeah, I think the way that this fight is going to go, Dricus Du Plessis finds a KO in the first 3 rounds. I'll give him 3 rounds because maybe the nose adjustment with the surgery gives him an extra round of cardio. And yeah, fuck, dude. Sean Strickland's hittable. That's my whole problem with this. He's hittable, and Dricus can't find those shots. But I'm going to bank on the fact that he has improved and that Izzy is an ass, which is weird to say, but Izzy's boxing has always been a flaw in his game. I've been saying this for a long time. That's why I picked Pereira against him both times. I know once I was wrong, but not that Pereira is great boxing either. The middleweight division is so hard to predict. That's why I kind of question myself in this video so much. It's so damn hard to predict. If there's going to be a fluke to happen, it's going to happen in this fight. But the weird thing is, what is the fluke in this fight? If Sean Strickland wins, well, I mean, maybe Sean Strickland's kind of good. If Dricus Du Plessis wins, well, maybe Dricus Du Plessis is kind of good. You don't know. Neither of these fighters are easy to predict. It's who do you think is worse? Or who do you think is the most overrated, or I guess who is the more underrated? I don't even fucking know, guys. It's the middleweight division. Anything can happen. I'm just going to rely on the guy that I've been saying is underrated for the longest time. I will say this much, too. If we saw Sean Strickland fight against Marvin Vettori, I just threw Jared Cannonier in there because I was going to bring up the Jared Cannonier and Marvin Vettori matchup. But if we saw Sean Strickland fight Marvin Vettori, I think a lot of people would be a lot more confident on the Sean Strickland side because he is genuinely, he's rangy. He's got the frame to deal with Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus Du Plessis hasn't fought a lot. Well, I'll say this much. Robert Whittaker was not the same frame as Dricus Du Plessis. That's why it was a little bit easier for him to impose his will, be more physically imposing, and find that finish. I don't want to take away from everything Dricus Du Plessis does, but anyone who is a fan of him can say he just goes out there and dogs his way to a victory, and I am here for it. I love Dricus Du Plessis. I think he's a lot of fun to watch. I had a video talking about UFC fighters that deserve more fans, and he was on that video because he's so much fun to watch. He's a top contender. He talks a little bit of shit too. I don't really care about that, but yeah, he's fun to watch. If he wins against Sean Strickland, I mean, cool. It is what it is. That's a fun champion to have, and maybe they do him versus Adesanya down the line, or maybe him versus Chimaev. I don't see Dricus Du Plessis being in any boring fights. So I like him. Sean Strickland can be in boring fights. Like the Israel Adesanya fight really was not super interesting. The Jack Hermanson fight, not very interesting. Jared Cannonier fight, not very interesting. Imavov fight, not super interesting. He kind of just goes out there and technically outclasses you. Now, Sean Strickland, let's talk about some holes in his game. Sometimes just the way he throws punches looks super unathletic. He's a very, very unathletic guy. And just like sometimes in the pocket, he's way too damn hittable. I do think he is pretty solid, fundamental enough boxing to create problems for Dricus Du Plessis, put Du Plessis on the back foot, and from there, I can't trust Dricus Du Plessis. When you combine someone that has shown pretty solid boxing defense, everyone's saying has very solid grappling, super underrated grappling, against a guy with Dricus Du Plessis that I just can't erase his fights against Derek Plessis, Derek Brunson, Robert Whittaker. I mean, that was his best looking performance against Robert Whittaker, 100%. But even then, I'm watching him throw strikes, and they just don't look right. I can't erase that from my mind, especially seeing Darren Till have success with him on the feet. Darren Till was cooking him on the feet in the second round. Yeah, I'm going with Sean Strickland. I have to. He's probably going to be able to stuff all the takedowns, if not get back up to the feet. And when he's on the feet, I think he's the better, more technical striker. I think a lot of people can agree with that. I can understand both sides here. I am just going to go with the guy that has the much better cardio, that has the much better volume in the weird style that has been proven to work against the top of the top strikers. And I love how Dricus Du Plessis said at the press conference, I didn't fluke my fight. I finished them all. They're not by flukes. If there's anything that it can be a fluke, it's a knockout. It's not going to be a 4-1 decision over Israel Adesanya, just massively outpointing him every single fight. Sean Strickland has not been fluking fights. He is proven to be at the top of the middleweight division striking. Not that Dricus Du Plessis hasn't. Not that he hasn't. But I don't trust Robert Whittaker's chin at all. We've seen him get dropped by Darren Till, other fighters. He doesn't have the greatest chin. He's not the biggest guy for the division. He's not physically imposing whatsoever. He doesn't have great power. He's just technical, and he's very good, but he's, not the guy that's going to go out there and have this super disruptive style like Sean Strickland on the feet. And even then, if he kind of went for that, he could have had more success. Now, I don't fucking know with Robert Whittaker. I don't know how I feel about him. I am predicting him against Paulo Costa as of now because I don't believe in the power of Paulo Costa all that much. I think he should have finished with Luke Rockhold. Outside of a couple of fights in the upcoming of his career, we haven't really seen him knock out a lot of opponents either. Yeah, I think I'll leave this video here. Dricus Du Plessis can win this fight. He can knock him out, submit him early. He has all the advantages early. It's about whether or not Sean Strickland can be smart, can understand that this is a fight with high stakes, and that Dricus Du Plessis is a solid fighter and has the ability to knock out Sean Strickland, has the ability to finish Sean Strickland early, and whether or not Sean Strickland will be willing to talk to his coaches, because when he looks at a guy with Israel Adesanya, he kind of has respect for what Israel Adesanya was done. He's talked about how time and time again, Israel Adesanya is a great fighter. He's probably going to go out there and fucking, hit me a couple times. I'm going to get some CTE from this man. And then when you see him talking about Dricus Du Plessis, he's called him a shit fighter before. Technically, he doesn't look that good. I don't understand how he beat Robert Whittaker. He might go out there with no respect for Dricus Du Plessis, and that could really bring problems. My main problem with Sean Strickland is if he goes out there just fucking swinging in the pocket with Dricus Du Plessis. I don't think he's going to win that fight. I don't think a lot of people are. Maybe he does. Fuck it. Who knows? That's probably the thing that's going to happen, right? We're going to see Sean Strickland go out there, out-grapple Dricus Du Plessis, and Dricus Du Plessis out-technique Sean Strickland, look like Israel Adesanya, prime Izzy in there, just picking apart Sean Strickland. Just what's going to happen in this fight. But this is a lot of fun. I really hope this is an entertaining fight. It probably will be a very entertaining fight build-up. I'm just kind of predicting this on the side that I don't think Sean Strickland's going to get too hung up on the dad comments. If not, he's going to get more motivated. He actually looks kind of diced right now. I saw recently on his Instagram he had some abs, so that's something to consider. Yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. Sean Strickland, round 5 KO is the pick. He's going to have a lot of success later. I don't trust that Dricus Du Plessis will deal with his volume very well or his new improvements defensively. Dricus Du Plessis, more powerful, more physically imposing. But Sean Strickland, in my opinion, more proven, and just I'm higher on his striking in general. I'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.